Welcome back to World Traveler Cooking, the show where we cover interesting foods and interesting cuisines from around the world. Today we're going to make a soup from the Basque area of Spain called Zurrukuruna. I think that's how it's pronounced. I probably butchered the pronunciation again. I'm going to just try that again. Zurrukuruna. And this is kind of similar to the Spanish garlic soup I made before, but it is a bit different in some important ways. And I'm having to make some substitutions based on the fact that I'm in Indonesia and there are certain ingredients I can't get. So I'm going to go over the ingredients and I'll go over the substitutions while I'm at it. We have extra virgin olive oil, very important. Paprika. Now normally you will have paprika in it, but you'll also have the pulp from another kind of sort of fresh red pepper from Spain. And I forget the name of it, but it sounds kind of like chorizo. But normally they would roast that pepper or rehydrate that pepper, scoop out its flesh, and you'd have to use about a tablespoon of it. So I'm going to use, instead of 1 tablespoon of paprika, I'm going to use 2, and I'll add a little bit of water when I would add the pulp. You can use a bit of chili pepper. I'm going to use a bit of chili pepper today, but you don't have to. Very oftentimes you will definitely need to add salt. Whether I do today will depend upon the other major substitution I have. Normally you would use, for this amount of soup, 150 grams of salted cod. Now, salted cod is a big staple in Spanish and Portuguese cuisine. But here, of course, I can get other kinds of salted fish, so I'm going to use them instead. But I can't get salted cod. So one of the big issues here, I have a little over 200 grams. You want to soak this maybe overnight ahead of time. Basically, I'm going to, I may end up having to pull the bones of this out. Probably will. At least have to pull this part out. So we'll try this instead. It's the best I can do. 6 cloves of garlic, 100 grams of thinly sliced bread. Now I have a relatively dense bread here, so that's fine. If you have a less dense bread, it may be much bigger. And then 2 eggs, which we will poach in the soup like we would a sopa de ajo. So this will start in a similar way, but of course it will end as a completely different dish. So let's go ahead and get started. So into our pot goes enough olive oil. So I'm adding maybe 3 tablespoons. And then we'll add our garlic. The garlic should be nicely thinly sliced like this. And once it starts to sizzle, you can add the chili pepper if you like. So here it's starting to sizzle. Add a bit of chili pepper. And I'm going to stir this around a bit. Not too much, I don't want to overwork it, but I want to make sure that the garlic has a chance to cook. Once it becomes fragrant, we'll add our bread. Alright, so I can smell the garlic, so time to add our bread. And I forgot, we need to add a bay leaf. So we're going to do this. We're also going to keep the heat at about the lowest level possible. And I think I'm going to add a little more olive oil. Now some recipes at this point include some tomato, but I'm not adding it. So here's 1 tablespoon paprika. Here's the other tablespoon of paprika. And a little more paprika is fine, so I'm just going to empty the rest of this in here. And I'm going to add a little bit of water to rehydrate the paprika slightly. Just a few tablespoons. and stir this. Basically, we want it to make a paste. We will cook this all down until we have a really nice pasty mixture. Again, keep this on a very low heat because the last thing we want is burned garlic. Once we have the this kind of a nice sort of pasty consistency, I'm going to add about 1 liter of water. And I'm going to turn this heat up to bring it to a boil, and then we will simmer it covered for about 30 minutes. So at about the 25-minute mark, since these have not been soaked for the full 24 hours, I'm going to just go ahead and add them. And then in a few minutes I'll come back and add my eggs. So we'll crack each of the eggs and we'll just put them into the broth like that. It's easiest if you do it in a bowl so that you don't break the yolks. And we'll poach them in here for about 5 minutes. So it's been 5 minutes, but these egg yolks are not quite done. I want them just to be a little more done than this, and then I'll be back for the taste test. I added 1 extra egg just for the taste test. And now for the taste test. I'm going to try a little bit of everything at once. It is a bit oversalted, so I really should have soaked the salted fish quite a lot more. I only soaked it for a few hours. A couple of hours. It probably should have been soaked overnight. I think it'll be okay if I water it down a little bit, maybe add a little more bread, but such is life. Things I really like about this recipe. Also, in the Spanish version, you wouldn't have bones. The flavors come together really very nicely. The fish becomes one of the primary flavors. The paprika just kind of supports it, and same with the garlic. So you get sort of the overtones you get with a garlic soup, but with a lot of fish flavors. So I think it's very good. Just next time I will soak it a lot more. So if you like this content, you'd like to see more of it, please like, share, and subscribe. Additionally, if you have anything to say about this dish or this video, please let me know in the comments. Recipes in the description. Bon appetit, and see you next week.